My dad's stepmom and half-siblings live in another state, and custody says I have to see them every other holiday in school break. I'm a teen female. And honestly think it's unfair, because why should I have to leave my mom's stepdad, siblings and friends to see people who didn't want to see me every day? I don't think it's fair that these people get to have the good times while my mom has to have the boring times. And I don't think it's fair that I don't get to see my friends during breaks when they're doing fun stuff. Unfortunately, I didn't choose custody and didn't want my mom to get into trouble, so I've always just gone my dad's chill and all. But I fell out of love with him when I realized he just didn't want me in his life the way he wanted my half-siblings. He's there for them every day, and clearly isn't for me. I don't care about my stepmom, I don't hate her, but I don't love her. I feel nothing as for their kids. They're closer to each other than they are to me. And once again, I don't believe in fighting for relationships when the other people don't want one with you. During spring break, I was on the couch. I don't have a bedroom there, and my stepmom told me I should sleep in my 8-year-old half-sister's room because they got her a bunk bed, so that I would have a bed too, still. I got annoyed because it clearly was her room and not a shared room. So I said I'd just sleep on the couch so that I wouldn't wake her up since I go to bed. Later, I have a ton of money saved up from birthdays and babysitting and secretly bought a plane ticket spontaneously so that my dad and mom wouldn't be able to see my bank account charge since they have access, and took an early morning flight back to my mom's home state before they could even notice I was gone. Well, I just boarded. I left a note telling them that I went back home and that mom doesn't know either. My mom was disappointed in me, and my dad was so mad at me, madder than he's ever been before, and my stepmom called me too. So I wondered if I was an idiot. I didn't think I was because I was protecting my emotional well-being. But some people are saying, I am so, that's why I'm here, as far as leaving in the middle of the night. Leaving only a note, yes. You are the idiot, you violated a court order. And that would have come back on your mum if your daddy called his attorney over it. I'm sure he caused problems between your parents. You probably should have slept on the bunk bed too. You may feel nothing for your stepmother, but they spent the money and they tried. And it could be that your father is just as baffled about how to foster a relationship with you, seeing you so little when you're bound and determined to hold them at arm's length. You are the idiot for leaving that way, essentially running away and violating the custody agreement. Your feelings about custody, half-siblings, bunk beds, etc. are valid, and you get to have them. Your parents surely didn't plan to have a broken marriage, so I'm sure they have feelings about it. Some situations can't be made perfect at your age. It's expected that your choices matter in custody and visitation. Sit down with your mother and discuss the situation. This really doesn't feel like an idiot thing. More like I did something idiotic thing, of course, when someone your age can fly on a plane and stuff. But that must have freaked your parents out. Every divorce has a unique story. Don't assume that your dad doesn't love you, or that he gave up on you. He may be doing the best he can given the circumstances. No idiots here. Oh, sweetheart, I'm sorry that you're so full of hurt. I think you really need to talk to both of your parents about this, and maybe ask if you can talk to a therapist. Not because there's anything wrong with you, but because it can be super helpful to have someone to talk to whose whole job is to listen neutrally and help you sort through difficult things. Last week, my sister was having a gender reveal party when the gender was revealed to be female. Her husband was disappointed and sat in the corner, angrily mumbling to himself. Obviously, this made everyone uncomfortable, and my sister was really distraught, so I decided to talk to him because he was acting ridiculous and I thought I could make him see that, so he could just move past it. I asked him why he was so upset, and he was like, really, obviously, I don't want a daughter. I wanted a son. I asked why the genitals matter so much, which is literally how they see the gender of a fetus, and he called me a creep. I responded, come on, man, are you really just gonna throw a tantrum? Do you even care how your wife feels about this? He yelled. How dare you tell me what to do in my own home, you stupid witch? At this point, I lost my temper a little, and I said, if you plan on raising a child in a few months, you better stop acting like one yourself. Just do everyone a favor and grow the heck up. He started getting increasingly hostile, and I realized I was not accomplishing my goal, so I removed myself from the situation. Later, my sister got mad at me and said I should have just left him be. And now it's my fault that he's refusing to raise a girl. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot brother-in-law and sister. Both need to sit down and talk it out, because brother-in-law's reaction is very uncalled for this, is why I hate gender reveals disgusting behavior like that usually gets exposed. I hope that child is loved by both when it's born. I was gonna say the same. I'm tired of seeing gender reveals on social media where one or both parents are disappointed by the reveal. Then why have one if you're not mature enough to accept the outcome? I feel really badly for my sister. And everyone at the event, I guarantee he took his 1800s education growing up and knows that it's the woman's fault for conceiving her daughter and not his precious manly part. His evil girl-loving wife conspired against him after all. Jesus Opie is your sister in an abusive relationship. This doesn't sound like a one-off behavior. If she is, you'd better get some professional advice on how best to support her, because I can't see a scenario where this guy would be a good dad if she is her blaming you for his behavior is not completely unexpected, although it is insulting to you. Since this is one of the ways victims of abuse placate their abusers, please do all you can to help and support her, Opie. She might not even be ready to hear this just yet. But when the baby comes, it will get real. Also, Opie, my husband really wanted a son, but he would have been just fine with a daughter. We got a boy, but he would have loved a girl just as much. A moment of disappointment for the baby. Not being exactly what you want is fine. Your brother-in-law decided to throw a tantrum instead of taking a moment to himself, adjusting his thinking and moving on to be the best father to his unborn little girl. Follow this and inform your sister that you will be there for her, whatever she decides to do. My girlfriend bought her own apartment about a year ago, and she's going to be paying the loan back for the next few years. I don't have my apartment. I'm renting currently. A few weeks ago, we agreed to move in together, and we decided to move into her place. However, it was only yesterday that I realized she would expect me to pay rent, and I refused. Because if I buy an apartment and need help with payment, I will either get a roommate or move to a smaller place and let my apartment out for rent. But if I ask my girlfriend to move in with me and it's not out of a need for money, this is a relationship, not a business transaction. If I want to share my life with someone, money shouldn't be a factor. I told her as much, and as an alternative, I suggested we move to a completely new flat, split the rent, and then she could let her own place out for a higher amount that would solve her money issues. But she says she didn't put so much time and effort into her own place, only so she would let strangers live in it now, which I understand, and that she was always planning to share the financial side of the loan with a roommate respectfully. I'm not just a roommate, but I genuinely don't know if I'm an idiot if I keep refusing. On the one hand, I would never charge her if our roles were reversed, and I really don't feel like paying each other rent as a place in a romantic relationship. But on the other hand, it's her place. And I understand why she doesn't want to let it out to other people. This is an argument we will solve one way or another, not a breakup in the making. So please don't suggest the usual. You'd better go separate ways. Also, please consider if you were given the same judgment if our roles were reversed. I'm curious if gender plays into how such issues are treated in general. Am I the idiot? So in your view, she should pay the mortgage and you should live rent. Free, you are the idiot. Her apartment isn't your mom's house. You owe a contribution for living there. Move out if you don't want to pay your fair share, let me get. This straight, your girlfriend bought an apartment condo and you demand to live there rent-free or not at all. Of course you're the idiot. You pay to live wherever you live. Why would you not want to have your rent that you would pay anywhere to stay in the family instead of going to strangers? Really were you really expecting to move in and not pay a penny? Money shouldn't be a factor. I hate to break it to you, but most couples end up having a lot of discussions about how to handle finances because it's a major factor in why people break up. Why is moving to a new place that you split a better solution? It seems like a lot of extra hassle for no clear reason. Even married couples split living expenses. You could make the case that you could pay less because she's gaining equity. But don't be a freeloader, not the idiot. But the only suggestion I can make aside from you continuing to live separately is for her to refinance the loan and then also have joint ownership of the apartment. It couldn't be 50-50 unless you want to give her half of whatever she's already paid into it. I don't think it's fair for your partner to assume that you would be happy with them becoming your landlord without discussing it first. 26 female, am not close to my sister, Ella. 23. I'm not sure we were ever close, but our issues go back to our childhood. She was always very demanding, expecting people to do stuff for her, crying about it when you didn't say yes, and making mistakes that she would blame others for, and expect them to take the blame and pick up the slack. Happily, I got in trouble because of her more than once. It made me pull away from my parents, because they expected me to be a good big sister to her and take care of her. The relationship hit rock bottom when I was 17 and she was 14. She was an idiot to one of the girls in her math class, and when the girl told her siblings, they made sure my sister was excluded from stuff other kids were doing. She told them I wouldn't let them do that to me, but I did nothing to help her. I told her she was on her own. She was so mad at me for that she blamed me for her being bullied at that point. She had done her fair share of bullying others and using others to protect her. So I figured she deserved to know what it was like to be on the other side, plus she turned the blame on me for one of her previous times bullying. And you can imagine I was in trouble until everyone realized it was her, because I was 4 years older than the poor girl. She stopped expecting me to do stuff for her. Then, when she was 17, she wanted out of our parents' house. She wanted to be able to party and skip school, and she wanted to call her bedroom, so she asked to live with me. I was very quick with my no. She broke into the house I was renting and invited some of her friends over and messed the house up. I was 100 done with her after that. My ex-landlord had not been happy. My parents hated that I got the police involved now. It's been several years since I've seen her. She was with the guy for most of the last 6 years and had 2 kids with him. He messed her up in so many ways and left she's jobless. Has 2 kids. Their father is Maya, and the courts are trying to track him down. She lived about 30 minutes from me and about 2 hours from her parents. I was asked to help her out, let her stay with me a while, or be a sister and support her. I ignored my parents. I essentially cut them off. I ignored my sister too. She asked for my help and told me she wanted to do better and knew I would be able to help her better than our parents would. My aunt and grandma aren't happy that I've ignored her, and I won't help they've tried to use the fact we're sisters to spark some care in me. But the truth is, I can't stand her, and I don't care about her enough to help her or her kids. They're not but strangers to me. And she's not someone I want in my life. Am I the idiot? Though I guess I have some slight doubts about how I've handled this. Not the idiot. Funny how your aunt, grandmother and parents aren't opening their doors. Stay firm. It's the time to change your number and accidentally forget to tell the family about it. You will never get rid of her as she moves in. Whatever her current circumstances are, she is a user. Why are you being asked to help instead of your parents, grandparents and aunts? If they feel it's so important to help, I'm not sure why they aren't stepping up themselves. You have cut them off, and your parents have no right to ask you to help her when they can't help her. Themselves, your family's favoritism of your sister has come back to them with major consequences. Your sister has never respected you or your boundaries, and you're trying to keep them for your mental health. Remind them of the time you had to call the police on her. That should be enough reason not to get involved with her again. Keep your distance from your family by and install cameras for your home lock. Everything up. Your sister is not your responsibility. My 27 female brother, 45, was married to my ex-sister-in-law, 42, for 10 years, and dated 6 years before that. They broke up last year, and their divorce just got finalized. They have 3 kids together, 2 young girls and a male toddler. As you can see, I've known my ex-sister-in-law since I was still a kid, so I basically grew up with her, and I consider her my own sister, my fiancée. And I are also godparents to one of the girls. We're in a culture where family is very close together, and even in-laws sometimes have a closer relationship than blood relatives. For example, my entire family and I were always closer and communicated more with my ex-sister-in-law than with my brother, since my brother never communicated much with anyone unless my sister-in-law pushed him to do so. When they broke up last year, he came as a shock to everyone because we had no clue something was wrong. Apparently, my brother had been emotionally cheating on her, not physically, but still bad enough. And for the last 3 or 4 months leading to their breakup, he was always absent from home. She didn't tell us anything because she was scared we'd side with him, but everyone ended up siding with her. Instead, don't get me wrong, we all love my brother, but what he did was messed up. Plus, we already had an established bond with my ex-sister-in-law, and we couldn't just kick her out of our lives because of their choice to divorce my entire family, including my parents. My aunts, uncles and cousins all made it clear to my brother that my ex-sister-in-law, his family to us, regardless of their relationship status. And he seemed accepting of it at first. A while before their divorce was finalized, he introduced us to his new girlfriend, not the one he cheated with. Of course, another woman, she's lovely and kind. I like her a lot. Everyone does, but after a while, my brother started making demands that we stop including ex-sister-in-law in family events and gatherings because he and his new girlfriend feel uncomfortable. We all said that wouldn't happen since we made it clear how ex-sister-in-law is family. Plus, I'm their kid's godmother. We still have a family connection, whether or not she's my brother's ex. The last thing was on my birthday on Friday. He threw a tantrum when he saw ex-sister-in-law there and said we're all taking it too far now and he shouldn't be invited. I told him that at the events he throws, he's allowed to invite whoever he wants, but at our events he can't stop us from inviting people. And while we do accept and respect his new relationship, we can't just drop the bond we have with ex-sister-in-law. Am I the idiot, not the idiot at all? She was part of your life for 16 years. He broke up their marriage last year, and he wants you to drop her from everything immediately, if there weren't any kids. And this was a couple of years out from the divorce. There might be something to his argument. You wanted your nieces and nephew and their mom there on your birthday. He doesn't get to decide the guest list, just because he chose to end his marriage. He's the one who decided to cheat and ruin his marriage. Your sister-in-law did nothing to deserve being left out, especially since they share children. Keep inviting her. But let the new girlfriend know it's not a slight to her, and she is welcome if she doesn't behave like your brother. It's more important for you to be supporting your nieces and nephews during this time than your brother. If that means inviting your ex-sister-in-law to see the kids, so be your brother's choices tore apart the family if he doesn't want to be around her because his new girlfriend is more important to him too. Darn bad you.